for reasons that absolutely shock and surprise me. A lot of people who listen to the podcast have said they'd like it to be longer.
Well, I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. I mean, people love you. So we are doing this. We have created a bonus subscription service. You can subscribe on our website, idon'tneedanactingclass.com. Just click on the link. And for $3.99 a month, you get a lot of benefits. You get extended, unedited episodes, chapters of Milton's next book, personal audio responses to your acting questions. And what we're most excited about is our new series called Conversations on Acting, where we will invite actors of note to come talk about their process. If you are a subscriber, you will get a special invitation to that conversation where you can participate, you can ask questions. So sign up now to get all that good stuff at idon'tneedanactingclass.com.
This is Milton Justice, and you're listening to I Don't Need an Acting Class. When you work on something and you do it well, there is an enormous, enormous danger, because what happens is you try to recreate what you did, and what happens because of that is that you, let's say, as an example, I coach you for an audition, or somebody coaches you, or you work by yourself, and you think to yourself, got it, man, that kicks ass. And then what happens is you go into the audition and you try to recreate what you did before, and it just doesn't work. And boy, it's such an interesting problem. So the issue is, I love that. I love what I did. I nailed it, and that's what I'm going to do. And then the problem is the action that is to recreate what I did yesterday is a different action than the action that made me do what I did yesterday. And so it's a thing to prepare. It's the reason I always say, if it works in class, do it again after class, just so you're clear. And there are a lot of things you can do to make sure that you don't have that problem. And it's not always a problem. Sometimes you love your choice, it works, and you're able to do it every time. But I wanted to make sure, because Wesley's exercise was so good, that I wanted him to do the same exercise again, so that he could figure out exactly how is it that he can always keep it that fresh. Stella stopped an actor once, and it happened twice. It happened once with Sean Astin and once with Grant Cho, because they made an entrance the same way twice. They came in, and then she stopped and said, start again. And then they came in exactly the same way that they did the first time. And she stopped them again. And she said, never make an entrance the same way twice. So that's a key, that you may want to adjust what it is that you did so that it feeds you again. And it's not major. It's not like you're changing the play, but it's just this little thing that you do. Teo, you'll remember when Holland Taylor spoke at your graduation, she talked about covering an entrance. Well, covering an entrance was something that Stella came up with. Basically, you always are doing something when you come on stage. And by doing something, it means you started off stage. And so there's this small little activity you're doing as you come on. Totally controllable, not a big activity, but a small activity that you do as you come on. And so that's one of the things you can adjust. The fact that I start buttoning my shirt off stage. And as I come on, I'm finishing buttoning. It basically is saying to me, I started the scene off stage. Now it's a continuation. And sometimes it's as small as that. I mean, that's kind of an obscure example, but that's something I can adjust. I also think of it in terms of, I use the term a parenthetical expression before I start a line, so that I'm not starting from nothing. So that's another thing I can adjust. One time it's like, man, it was so weird. The next time, funny. The next time, do you see what I mean? It's like, and so then I start the line. There was a girl, when I went to the actor's studio once, there was a girl who she mimed a box. She felt the weight. She opened the box, put her hand in the box. So I think the box held her talent. I think that was the day that I walked up 9th Avenue kicking garbage cans over, because I realized I had seen the American theater die that day at the actor's studio. Anyway, you will get better and better and better finding that parenthetical expression that allows you to slide in to the scene. You want to help yourself get into a usable mindset, which is why I said to Wesley I wanted him to redo the exercise that he did, because I want to make sure he can access it, 8 times a week, back when we used to have theaters, or 21 takes, or, more specifically, from the time he rehearses at home till he goes to an audition. Because here's the thing. What we're always trying to do is to find that moment where you say, oh, God, I love that. I mean, that's really you. There is absolutely nothing I can do about it if you suffer from DD, divine discontent. There is nothing anybody can do about it if you were constantly saying, oh, I don't know, was it good? Really? Do you think it was good? I kind of think that's like, I don't know, an actor affectation. I think part of your talent is, God, I love that choice. Now the question is, how do I get to that choice again? And that's the reason it's so important to know what you do. It's like you have to be able to sit back. And, to me, the diary entry is, things work in class today. Why? The images were clear. I fed off the images clearly. That's a very good note for me. I fed off the images clearly, so I know now that I have to feed off the images clearly in order for me to live off the circumstance of my play. So I say, okay, good. That's my diary entry today. I now know that worked. In the same way that if it doesn't work, my diary entry is, I suck today. But the reason is because I rushed to this, or because I wasn't clear about this, or I didn't take my time building this. Whatever it is, my God, it could be 100 things. So, those are the things. The important thing is that I have to be able to figure out what I'm doing. I said to Wesley, I keep going back to, how do I bust myself? And so I bust myself by saying, you're doing that thing you do again. It's like you just kind of, I do it in life. It usually has to do with standing in line at Costco and going from one line to the next line, and then that line is not moving as fast, so I go back to the first one. It's like, and I just saved myself 28 seconds. So it's you finally at the end of the day say, okay, I'm doing that thing I do again, where I rush too quickly. I'm doing that thing again where I'm coming up with a plot that's clever. I'm doing that thing I do again where I'm rushing to a performance. Or in Wesley's case, I'm doing that thing I do again where I doubt my work. And all of these are these things, these habits that we have, and that finally you have to say, stop it. I have to stop it. It's kind of what we need to have going on all the time, is this ability that we have to look at our own work. Man, at the end of the day, you're who you have. You're who you have. I think for many, many years, all I wanted in class was Stella Adler's approval. That was my motive. And then one day I got it. And then it was like, and then she said to me at one particular point, darling, you could audition. And I went, really? Oh, yeah, I guess I could. So I did. But it was like I didn't want to get out of the house. I didn't want to get out of the classroom. I was totally happy. Then I went out in the world and I was working on a play, and that's when I got lost. So I had to find myself. It's like it's all, we're not going to get it. We're not going to just suddenly say one day, I have this. It's all part of a process that goes on practically for your whole life. I am absolutely convinced, I've said this before, I'm absolutely convinced that Stanislavski's last words were, the secret of acting is, and then he died.
Hi, everybody. It's Walker Vreeland. I'm the producer of I Don't Need an Acting Class with Milton Justice. Director of online media is Evan Sollers, and music is provided by David DeJuice. If you have a question or comment you'd like Milton to address on an upcoming episode, email us at questionsformilton@gmail.com. Again, that's questionsformilton@gmail.com. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks so much for listening.